I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers.
They seem to be in full-scale retreat from spending cuts and are talking about raising people's taxes again. And I have only one thing to say to the tax increasers. Go ahead, make my day.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell is on now.
Hey folks, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being with us. My name is Paul. You have found, once again, the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. Congratulations, by the way, for finding that. We're building a liberty machine, and we got a great show for you. Coming up at the bottom of this hour, we'll be talking with the Gun Owners of America. Rachel Malone will be back with us. We're going to be talking about the Violence Against Women's Act. Sounds great, right? I mean, you can't be against something with a title like that. It'd be like being against the title of the bill that says, like, you know, to cure cancer. Can't be against the Violence Against Women Act, can you? Well, what does that do to the Second Amendment rights? What does that do to your natural human right of self-preservation and defense? Gun Owners of America's Rachel Malone will be with us to tell us what's going on with that, coming up at 6:33. At 7:30, you know what I want to do at 7:30, Joe? We've got the audio mashup. We got the audio mashup of the impression of the session, where we had all these lawmakers come on the program, and I asked a lot of them the same question. When it's all said and done, what do you think? Are the people paying more money? They paying less money? They paying the same? I got a montage ready to go. We're going to throw that up there because it's you know, it's rather lengthy, but it's a big deal. Now, speaking of lengthy, oh my goodness, folks, this was great. So you know the organization Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA you're a big fan, Joe? Is that what you? Yeah. So that's Charlie Kirk. That's Candace Owens, right? So you know Candace Owens is, right? Okay, Candace Owens is the leader of the Blexit movement, which is the attempt to get black people to leave the Democrat Party, or at least to say, hey, just because you have a certain shade or tone, to your skin color, doesn't mean that you have to be a Democrat. Pretty straightforward, right? Well, she's doing amazing things. Well, they had their teen conference. Turning Point USA had their teen conference. I mean, this is an organization that is geared towards finding young conservatives. That's what they're geared towards. They had a giant conference yesterday, and the President of the United States spoke there at Turning Point USA. There was a 13-minute introduction of the President of the United States via video montage, starting in 1946 in New York on the President's birthday. It is, again, 13 minutes long. We're not going to let you listen to all of it. I'm going to let you listen to about 3 minutes of it, the end, the last part. But it's fantastic, and it, all the kids are out there in the audience, and they're watching this. It's a montage from the president, all through the 2016 election, all the pundits that said he could never win. Some of the debate highlights where the president, where Hillary Clinton's like, well, I'm just glad that you're not in charge of our government. And then, Donald Trump's like, that's because you'd be in jail. And anyway, it is fantastic. But it was 13 minutes long, and it was pretty epic. I mean, it was an epic introduction. Let's go ahead. Throw the YouTube video up there, Joe. Let's let people see this. This is the last 3 minutes of this montage. Again, it was 13 minutes long, and you could just feel the excitement. And News Now TV had the coverage. Go ahead, hit the play button.
From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. of our country will be forgotten no longer. Every decision on trade, on taxes, on immigration, on foreign affairs will be made to benefit American workers and American families. I will fight for you with every breath in my body, and I will never, ever let you down. We will bring back our jobs. We will bring back our borders. We will bring back our wealth. And we will bring back our dreams. Do not allow anyone to tell you that it cannot be done. No challenge can match the heart and fight and spirit of America. We will not fail. January 20th, 2017 will be remembered as the day the people became the rulers of this nation again.
TNC National Summit, please come in. This is Marine One. Be advised, Eagle is inbound. Eagle is inbound.
So then they have a video that goes along with this with the helicopters. The helicopters are coming in, and they have it's. I mean, it is great. Are you what? It's a lot of hype. Okay, so then the president. So it showed. Go ahead. You can turn it down a little bit. So then it showed the president, or he comes out on the stage. But it showed his, I guess, his tank of a motorcade and everything. I mean, it was a lot of hype, right? I mean, it was like, I mean, it was, the production value was great. I mean, and of course, he's going out to a younger audience. So anyway, it's fascinating, man. I mean, the president, Donald Trump is a fascinating guy to watch. I mean, absolutely a blast to cover and keep up with, and like he really is. I wonder if there's anyone in the mainstream media that would admit that. Is there anybody in the mainstream media that, you know, is still trying to do a good job? You know, understands that 99% of the people around them have a personal hatred for Donald Trump that they let influence all of their coverage. But I wonder if there's one guy in there who's like just still trying to do a good job, but like if he's honest with himself, he's like, dude, this is the best time to be a reporter ever, from a personal standpoint, because Donald Trump is such an agent of change. Man. Telephone number 870-275-9799. We do have a clip of the president actually talking to the young people at Turning Point USA. Go to get to this one. Twitter video, Donald Trump tweeting the young leaders here today at Turning Point USA are part of a movement unlike anything in the history of our nation. It is a movement about reclaiming your future, rebuilding your country, restoring your destiny, and renewing the values that are the true source of American greatness. There's a little montage of what he said to the young people at this teen conference. Go, Joe.
Thousands of proud young American patriots. You're great people. You are loyal to our nation. You are devoted to your fellow citizens, and you will always put America first. From the very beginning, America has been lifted even higher by the daring dreams of young Americans like each and every one of you. Because it's a movement about reclaiming your future, rebuilding your country, and restoring your destiny, and renewing the values that are the true source of American greatness. Now it's your turn to inspire our country. Your chance to choose greatness for America. As long as you are confident in your values, as long as you are loyal to our citizens, as long as you keep faith in God above, there is no limit to what you will achieve.
All right, welcome. Listen,
I'm excited.
Can I say something about that? And this is when I watched that clip this morning. encouraging young people to have faith in God. When's the last time you heard a president tell people that? I mean, presidents of the past, they give lip service to higher power by ending their speeches by, God bless America. Okay. This president, you go back and listen or watch his inaugural address. You go back and watch some of his speeches talking about people being made in the image of God. This president references belief in a higher power, which, what fundamentally undergirds that is that the state, the government itself, is not the final authority, that there's something beyond the authority of these, these man-made offices. It's so encouraging. And, this gets dismissed a lot because there's people on both sides that are acting like it's news that the President of the United States is not perfect and has made mistakes in his life. But from somebody, been covering politics for 10 years, and I'm telling you, it's very interesting to hear from the highest office in the land so many times this guy actually references belief in a higher power and faith in God. It's something that was obviously missing from Barack Obama and his tenure. This guy couldn't even get. He would leave out. He would leave out when he would quote the Declaration endowed by our Creator. He not once, but several times, to the point where he got criticized for it. And then he would slip it back in. But just an observation, as I cover President Trump. Joe's over here doing side research and doesn't realize that he's on the broadcast computer. So, no, I know, it's fine. Oh yeah, Ilhan Omar also called for opponent to be deported. Yes, I did see this. There's all kinds of now that people are researching the squad, they're going back and they're finding all kinds of things that they have said that are even worse than what the president said. It'll get no attention though. It's on Breitbart. You're gonna get zero attention. For example, Rashida Tlaib on Donald Trump, deport this a-hole. She said that in 2015.
Whoa, you can't deport him. He actually where you sit down? You can't go anywhere else.
Oh, man. That's really funny. Telephone number 870-275-9799 if you want to contribute to the program. Let's see here. We also have we got an update on the ball waxing guy in Canada, but I don't want to get to that yet because it's just too good. Yeah, Mueller. Okay. So today we have Bob Mueller, Robert Mueller, Mueller. Do you know that Hank Capsized Johnson was trying to claim that Republicans were mispronouncing the last name of Robert Mueller? And I don't even know how to pronounce it. Is it Mueller or Mueller? Hank Capsized Johnson, the congressman from Georgia who thought that the island of Guam would tip over and capsize, this Democrat genius, he was accusing the Republicans of mispronouncing Robert Mueller's name on purpose to insult him and somehow, I don't know, take away from his credibility. I guess one pronunciation is more respectable than another. This is the level of paranoia from the radical left. Again, and the intellectually shallow left. This man thought Guam would tip over and capsize because too many people. He said, I don't know how many square miles that is. Do you happen to know? He was talking to a Navy general who was holding back every bit of laughter he could possibly muster. He was like, sir, I'm not really sure. We can get that figure to me. Well, what I fear is that the island of Guam will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize. That guy. Oh, man, that guy. Hank Capsized Johnson. who still has been reelected like 3 times since he made that comment. That was like 6 years ago. Oh, man. Telephone number is 870-275-9799 if you want to contribute to the program in any way. So, Mark Meadows, Congressman Mark Meadows, Republican, throw this tweet up there. Do you see it, Mark Meadows' tweet? Democrats aren't just setting up Twitter rooms and practicing in front of cameras. They're having someone stand in as Jim Jordan. So the Democrats are putting so many eggs in this Robert Mueller testimony. They have been rehearsing how they're going to question the man. They are so committed to the show. They are having rehearsals. They've got their stage managers. They got 2 of them. They got one on stage left, stage right. They're making sure the camera angles are good. They're probably putting on makeup. These guys are rehearsing diligently on how they're going to try, and they've got the media that is participating in this. I promise you, they're in communication. How we're going to spin this. There are reporters that are waiting to hear certain questions they know are coming. And they're like, okay, this is the soundbite. This will be the soundbite. They want the American people to think that Robert Mueller is going to say something new. And I suppose he might say something new. Attorney General William Barr now saying that Robert Mueller asked for the letter to be sent, saying you must stick to your testimony. I understand there's like a second guy, the right-hand attorney, Never Trump attorney that worked with Mueller on this, that he's now going to be sworn in from what I've been told. So we'll see what happens, but I got one question for Robert Mueller. One question, and it has to do with Mifsud. This was Mifsud a Russian asset? We now have reporting from John Solomon that suggests even more. That absolutely no. Mifsud, this whole guy who set up the spine on, Paige Papadopoulos, and I'm probably getting a little confused here, but Mifsud actually was a Western intelligence asset. And if he's a Western intelligence asset, then this whole thing was staged, just like this hearing today. Let me know what you think about this. Mark Meadows saying that Democrats are so paranoid, they're having somebody pretend to be Republican Jim Jordan and how to respond to his questions. Meadows writing, folks, if you were on the fence about calling this a charade, I invite you to let House Democrats convince you themselves this is not serious. It's in response to Olivia Beavers saying that judicial Democrats are conducting a closed-door mock hearing ahead of Mueller tomorrow. I am told by source that Judicial Counselor Aaron Hiller role-played Representative Jim Jordan, and that Norm Eson cracked a joke about putting his jacket back on. So they are literally, they're not even hiding the fact that this is all a show, and they have to rehearse it. What do you think? Tell me. Sound off on the Facebook page or YouTube, facebook.com/Conduit News. Up at conduitnews.com, we do have this little follow-up story, what we told you about 7 o'clock, 24, yesterday. Sponsor proposed sales tax says what? And it's a more in-depth look at State Representative Jeff Wardlaw and how he said a new tax is actually not a new tax. You can check that out right now at conduitnews.com. Back in a moment.
It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Hi, folks. Paul Harrell here. For those that can't catch Conduit News Radio with me on the radio every morning from 6 a.m. to 8, don't panic. You can always listen anytime on our digital platforms using your smartphone or computer. In this video, I'm here to help you navigate to the many options you have to watch or listen to the show across our digital platforms. First, you can catch the show on Facebook. Just use your internet browser and type in facebook.com/Conduit News. From there, select Videos on the left side of your screen. From there, you can watch the full 2-hour show each day or select specific interviews you want to watch. Another place you can watch the show is on YouTube. Just use your internet browser and type in youtube.com. Then, in the search bar, search for Conduit News. Select the Conduit News page as it appears. While here, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell to receive notifications when new videos are ready. From YouTube, you can also watch every live show daily and all the interviews I have with guests. More options are available at our website, conduitnews.com. Select the Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell tab. Here, you can watch each day's show live or watch old episodes and interviews. You can also catch audio-only versions of the show right here on this page of the website. For audio-only versions of the show, you have some options. For Apple iPhone users, simply use the podcast app and search Conduit News. Subscribe to the podcast and get each hour of the show automatically in your app daily. You can also download the SoundCloud app from your app store and search Conduit News to find your station. And that goes for Android users as well. Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell is the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. We want to make sure you get the latest on Arkansas news and politics. You have many options to know what government is doing in your name and with your tax dollars. Learn more at conduitnews.com. Folks, hey, welcome back to the show. We've got Michael Bustler on the line. He is a professor of economics from Stockton University in New Jersey. You've seen his stuff published, Newsmax, LifeSet, townhall.com. Dr. Bustler, how are you, sir?
Good morning, Paul. How are you? It's my pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. It's always great to have you. I wanted to have you on to talk a little bit more about this minimum wage topic. We've got polls showing that Americans are concerned about the impact the increased minimum wage will have on the economy. I know there's a caveat, like at first they support it, but then they want, if you give them the right information about the negative things that it could do, then they're not so sure. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so historically, every time they suggested raising the minimum wage, the American...
Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell is building a liberty machine. Find out more at conduitnews.com.
I remind you that according to the Tax Foundation, Arkansas is now tied for first as the worst or highest sales tax in the nation on average. So that's fantastic, right? Real popular. Oh, real popular. This is good news. The Justice Department has launched an antitrust probe into tech giants or possible monopolies. This from Breitbart News' Joshua Kaplan. Department of Justice on Tuesday announced it's opening a review into whether the United States' biggest and most powerful technology companies have stifled competition and hurt consumers. Quote, without the discipline of meaningful market-based competition, digital platforms may act in ways that are not responsive to consumer demands. The department's antitrust review will explore these important issues. Obviously, we know about the censorship, and we know about, there's a huge debate that has to take place, and I hope they get close to answering this in their probe, in the DOJ's probe. I don't know how much confidence I have in it, but I will just say that, again, what's the difference between these, quote, private companies and a public sidewalk? Because, we're using these platforms to communicate on. What if someone had the power to make people on sidewalks with picket signs vanish so you didn't know what was going on? That's what we're talking about here.
It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Hi, folks. Paul Harrell here. For those that can't catch Conduit News Radio with me on the radio every morning from 6 a.m. to 8, don't panic. You can always listen anytime on our digital platforms using your smartphone or computer. In this video, I'm here to help you navigate to the many options you have to watch or listen to the show across our digital platforms. First, you can catch the show on Facebook. Just use your internet browser and type in facebook.com/Conduit News. From there, select Videos on the left side of your screen. From there, you can watch the full 2-hour show each day or select specific interviews you want to watch. Another place you can watch the show is on YouTube. Just use your internet browser and type in youtube.com. Then, in the search bar, search for Conduit News. Select the Conduit News page as it appears. While here, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell to receive notifications when new videos are ready. From YouTube, you can also watch every live show daily and all the interviews I have with guests. More options are available at our website, conduitnews.com. Select the Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell tab. Here, you can watch each day's show live or watch old episodes and interviews. You can also catch audio-only versions of the show right here on this page of the website. For audio-only versions of the show, you have some options. For Apple iPhone users, simply use the podcast app and search Conduit News. Subscribe to the podcast and get each hour of the show automatically in your app daily. You can also download the SoundCloud app from your app store and search Conduit News to find your station. And that goes for Android users as well. Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell is the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. We want to make sure you get the latest on Arkansas news and politics. You have many options to know what government is doing in your name and with your tax dollars. Learn more at conduitnews.com.
The American public overwhelmingly supported it. Now, usually the increases in the minimum wage were 80 cents an hour, $1 an hour, and Americans, because they're compassionate, tended to support that. This time, the House of Representatives wants to raise the minimum wage more than double it, from the current $7.25 an hour up to $15 an hour, and they're going to take 5 or 6 years.
All right, folks, hey, welcome back to the show. Thanks so much for being with us. Starting your day with us here at the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. We're building a liberty machine here. We got to have your help to do it. Just keep listening. That's the main thing that you can do. Folks, I want you to welcome back to the program. We've got with us the Texas director for the Gun Owners of America. Rachel Malone is back with us. Rachel, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So glad that you're up with us this morning. And I saw this, and this is why I wanted to have you on. We haven't really talked about this, but there's something that's being pushed through the Senate right now, the Violence Against Women Act. And, you know, with a title like that, how in the world, would there be anything wrong with it? But there's some gun language in there, isn't there?
Absolutely, there is, and you're right. I mean, how can anybody oppose something that helps keep women safe? But it's just a disguise to try to push through red flag laws and gun control.
I saw your piece up at gunowners.org, why women oppose the Violence Against Women Act. So, I mean, why is the Violence Against Women Act actually not good for women?
Well, in a nutshell, it's not good for women because it simply purports to take more guns away from more people. It sets up a structure so that any dating partner or former dating partner can go get an ex parte order, meaning they can go to a judge by themselves without the other person being there to defend themselves, and they can say, oh, my former dating partner is being abusive. I don't think he or she should have guns, and the guns are taken away from that former dating partner. And the insidious thing is that, of course, this hurts women who might actually have been in an abusive relationship, and the abuser is accusing them, the victim, of being the abusive one, and maybe that woman has a handgun for self-defense and is trying to get out of that abusive relationship. And so the gun could actually get taken away from the victim, from the innocent, law-abiding, peaceful victim who's trying to be empowered and take care of herself and maybe get out of a dangerous situation. And taking away her means of self-defense means maybe she's stuck in that abusive situation. So it actually increases potentially violence against women.
Isn't this kind of also like it sounds like it's like a red flag law, right? Because
Absolutely. It's a red flag law. It's just, they tried to bring up red flag laws, and grassroots reacted strongly against it. So they said, oh, you know what? Okay, we won't do red flag right now, but let's just rebrand it. Let's just call it something else and bring it right back up. And, of course, you can't turn down something that protects women, right? So that's exactly what they're doing. It's a red flag law.
Let's title the bill "To Cure Cancer." I mean, that's what they do. That's what this is. We've seen this movie before. Okay, so I'm quoting your piece. Many women like myself carry guns for self-defense from thugs and criminals. But provisions in the Disarm Women Act would allow for any dating partner or former dating partner to strip a gun-owning woman of her constitutional rights with just a phone call to a judge. A woman's guns are confiscated with no warning, no due process, just like a red flag law. In fact, we've had a lot of experience with these quickie proceedings, and we know that they are often used by an angry ex to extract revenge on a former partner. And then you talk about a California example. So this is not hypotheticals. We actually have, these instances where it's actually happened. Tell us about California.
Exactly. So California has a red flag law, and this is one of many examples we could use, but there was a cheating husband who used his state's red flag law. He used California's red flag law, went to a judge and said, oh, my abusive wife has a gun, please take it away. And they took away his wife's Glock under the red flag law. So, I guess he was afraid of her finding out and getting free from him. I'm not sure exactly what the situation was, but yeah, that's how he used it.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it really is, it's a huge problem. So what's going to happen? I mean, you think this is going to get through the Senate? I mean, I know it got through the House.
Right. So right now it's in a little bit of state of limbo because it's summer and they're taking some breaks. So it passed the House. The Pelosi's House was very excited about it, and there was you could definitely say there was a bipartisan vote. It was not just Democrats who supported this bill in the House, and that's why we're worried about it, and that's why we need a lot of public pressure in the Senate. So the Senate is looking at it now. I was in D.C. with GOA a few weeks ago to meet with some staffers and let them know in no way, shape, or form should they ever consider anything like a red flag law. I specifically let them know that when Texas tried to bring that up last year, grassroots shot it down and made it clear that nobody was going to get reelected if they ever tried a red flag law. So I hope that struck a chord with some of our senators. But yeah, we're trying to encourage them now to get rid of all the anti-gun provisions in the Violence Against Women Act. The bill, what they're trying to do is a reauthorization, but adding a lot of stuff to the bill. And we just are saying, get rid of that extra stuff you're adding to it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's got to be, well, there maybe not, who knows, but there's probably some good things in this bill. The Violence Against Women Act. They've just now added this, and it certainly is a problem. And so, yeah, the goal would be for the Senate Republicans to just take this language out and pass it without it, and then of course we can get reauthorized. And I'm sure the House will throw a fit, but I mean this really is something that is a foot in the door. We know that the left's goal. I mean, we've talked about this before, Rachel, but the left's goal is to confiscate our guns. It just is. That's what they want to do. And so any way to move that needle is a threat to us.
Exactly. And I say all the time, modern gun control, I don't think it looks like the legislature passing some law that immediately forces everybody to give up every single one of their guns and sending all the military to the door to take away guns. I don't think they're stupid enough to do that. But what they are going to do is pass bills like this that take guns away from select groups of the population, and they're conditioning people more and more to think it's okay to do that. So for the government to decide who from whom they can take away guns, and pretty soon people are going to wake up and say, "Oh, now today I'm in that group that gets my guns taken away."
Yeah, you are exactly right about that. And here's the thing with women, I would say in this situation, the point could be made that they're the ones that need the guns. If you're a woman and you're in an abusive relationship, all of a sudden that gun is an equalizer. It's if anything a deterrent. And there's a lot of people. I know here in Arkansas we've had politicians, that certainly encourage with our constitutional carry situation that we have. If you are in an abusive relationship, we've encouraged like an educational effort to let a woman know that you don't need a permit. You don't have to get a permission slip from the government, that you can go arm yourself to protect yourself right now. And a lot of women don't know that here in our state. So, if there's going to be any chance that this law makes it harder for a woman to defend herself against and see, that's what's so interesting. It's very ironic that this provision is in the Violence Against Women Act, and hopefully that point, hopefully that point will resonate with some Republicans in the Senate.
Yeah, well, I think that if the feminists had any moral consistency, they'd be the best gun rights activists in the world, because guns empower women like nothing else. I grew up observing domestic violence, and it's horrible. I don't do anything to stop violence against women. But taking away more guns doesn't, because I've also seen women who are so courageous and ready to take the steps to get out of a horrible abusive relationship and protect themselves and protect their kids. And just mere gun ownership and the idea of that for a woman who's being abused, the idea that, I could actually protect myself and my kids and I could get us out of here. I hate to see anything that strips her of that empowerment, and that's exactly what this bill does. It disempowers women. It steps backwards for what women's rights activists have been trying to do for a long time.
Yeah,
terrible bill.
It really is. Well, let's hope that it changes. And I really appreciate the work that you're doing, Rachel, and the work that Gun Owners of America is doing. And it's always great to have you on the program, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Paul. You too.
All righty. Thank you, Rachel. Folks, this portion of the program was brought to you by the Patriots of X 746. Now, if you don't know, the Patriots of X 746 are an Arkansas-based group. They're on the forefront. They're grassroots. They're cutting edge when it comes to this idea of constitutional carry in the state of Arkansas. Did you know that you don't need, according to the law, according to a court case, Taft versus the state of Arkansas, and according to the Arkansas General Assembly that just met, who passed 2 resolutions declaring that they agree with the Taft decision and that you don't need a permit to carry a gun open or concealed. The Patriots of Act 746 has been advocating this since 2013, July of 2013. And they've been working with local law enforcement. They've been working with lawmakers, forming, basically just verbal partnerships and agreements about what the law says. And because of their work, we are more free to exercise our human right of self-defense. I want you to understand that. That is such a success, and it is undeniably true that that's what the Patriots of X 746 has done. They have a massive grassroots army. You can find them on Facebook. If you go to facebook.com and search for the Patriots of X 746, it's a closed group, but ask to become part of the group. And it is certainly one in light of all of the corruption in Arkansas, and they're still fighting, because we do know the Arkansas State Police is they are at odds right now with the courts. Arkansas State Police are at odds with the courts, the judicial branch. They're at odds with the legislative branch, because they are refusing to publicly admit what the law says, how it was changed in 2013. But you still have prosecutors that won't charge people. You have police officers that won't charge people, and then of course you have the court case. But they are fighting for your rights, and they're having success. So I want you to go to Facebook if you haven't. This is when it comes to your Second Amendment rights, which when we say Second Amendment, we're talking about your natural God-given right to self-preservation and defense. Check them out and become part of the online sensation today, the Patriots of Act 746. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back here in just a moment.
It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Hi, folks. Paul Harrell here. For those that can't catch Conduit News Radio with me on the radio every morning from 6 a.m. to 8, don't panic. You can always listen anytime on our digital platforms using your smartphone or computer. In this video, I'm here to help you navigate to the many options you have to watch or listen to the show across our digital platforms. First, you can catch the show on Facebook. Just use your internet browser and type in facebook.com/Conduit News. From there, select Videos on the left side of your screen. From there, you can watch the full 2-hour show each day or select specific interviews you want to watch. Another place you can watch the show is on YouTube. Just use your internet browser and type in youtube.com. Then, in the search bar, search for Conduit News. Select the Conduit News page as it appears. While here, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell to receive notifications when new videos are ready. From YouTube, you can also watch every live show daily and all the interviews I have with guests. More options are available at our website, conduitnews.com. Select the Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell tab. Here, you can watch each day's show live or watch old episodes and interviews. You can also catch audio-only versions of the show right here on this page of the website. For audio-only versions of the show, you have some options. For Apple iPhone users, simply use the podcast app and search Conduit News. Subscribe to the podcast and get each hour of the show automatically in your app daily. You can also download the SoundCloud app from your app store and search Conduit News to find your station. And that goes for Android users as well. Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell is the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. We want to make sure you get the latest on Arkansas news and politics. You have many options to know what government is doing in your name and with your tax dollars. Learn more at conduitnews.com.
To get there. Now, with that size of a increase in the minimum wage, it's going to cause far more harm than any benefit. So supporters, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats in Congress would say, well, look, if you raise the minimum wage, it will lift people out of poverty. People who are working hard 40 hours a week deserve what Bernie Sanders refers to as a living wage, and $15 an hour is a minimum. They deserve it. We should pay them. So that's their argument. Now, what you're referring to is some information that came out talking about what the longer-term effects of the minimum wage would be. The Congressional Budget Office estimated that 1.3 million people would be lifted out of poverty.
Determined to drain the swamp in Little Rock, it's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Thanks so much for being with us. Did anyone see this? This is disgusting. The Gateway Pundit, 4 days ago, UK politician who pushed for gender-neutral bathrooms is charged with 9 counts of sexual abuse. British politician David Smith from Middlesbrough, who pushed a gender-neutral bathroom in the community, was charged with 9 counts of sexually touching a child. Last month, Smith pushed for gender-neutral bathrooms in the Middlesbrough Council buildings. Smith said his interest in the gender-neutral bathroom stemmed from interactions with transgender and non-binary people. Smith argues he is innocent and vows to fight the 9 charges. LifeSite News, an English town councilor who hopes to make government-owned facilities gender-neutral. All right, so here, I have a thought, and I want someone to tell me what they think. This is not the first time. As a matter of fact, this ball waxing guy we're going to get to here in a minute, who wants Brazilian. He identifies as a woman but is a man and wants to force bikini wax places to handle his genitalia. Canada says that they don't know what to do. But they're, he says his human rights, his natural rights, are being violated. And I look at this guy and I'm thinking, maybe this guy has ulterior motives. Maybe he's just found a way to use the government to actually oppress women by forcing them to do something like this. I mean, we gotta remember here, we're talking about a man, right? So we got this UK politician. I guess I'm wondering if there's going to be a pattern emerge. Is there? I mean, logically, there already is a pattern that's emerged, but logically speaking, if we are trying to completely uproot the gender, male, female, sexual norms of our society, then that boundary, if it's being redefined, might look even different when it comes to children, to these people. And then, of course, what we're going to hear from the radical left is what we hear in the radical Islam argument, which is, not all Muslims are terrorists. You're an Islamophobe. No, not all Muslims are terrorists, but there sure are a lot of terrorists who are Muslims. Sure are a lot of terrorists who are reading the same piece of literature and coming up to the same conclusions. Sure, a lot of them. Will there be a pattern emerged where people who are, it's ma'am. Don't call me sir again. I'm a ma'am. Will there be a pattern emerge where people like this, who are obviously struggling with definitions, normal societal definitions of sex, where they now try to push the boundary, where they now, do have problems, where touching children, doing the thing? Will there be a pattern emerge? And I think the answer is probably yes. I think it would actually be logical for that to happen. I mean, you can find photographs of people trying to say that pedophilia is now, that you're somehow a victim, or you're born that way, or something like that. There is a push. Now, you have to look for it, but there is a push to try to normalize that as some sort of disease that deserves the same level of sympathy as, other diseases. And, I mean, that's just ludicrous. I mean, it's just absolute ludicrous. Crimes against, children, it's ridiculous. It's sick is what it is. The telephone number, 870-275-9799, if you would like to contribute to the program. Coming up at the top of the next hour, we're going to talk about a bill that was passed in the Arkansas General Assembly that deregulated the medical society in the smallest way imaginable. Had to do with optometrists being able to perform procedures that they are trained to do and that other optometrists in other states have been doing for 20 years. Medical society, as well as the ophthalmologists, were so upset that they lost. Were so upset. They are now trying to deceive the public of Arkansas. And yes, they are, because I've talked to the petitioners. I know what they're saying, and they're not being truthful. There is audio, I'm told. There is audio recording, I'm told, of these people lying about what the law did that was signed by Governor Asa Hutchinson. And now they're trying to put it on the ballot to have the voters undo it. The medical society in this state, man, is these guys are tyrants when it comes to protecting their, their sacred industry. And you know what's sad is, ophthalmologists do amazing work. Optometrists do amazing work. Normally these two professions work together. Full disclosure, my father's an optometrist. But this is just wrong. It really is. On so many levels. When you're going up to the average citizen who wasn't there in committee, didn't hear it debated, doesn't know that it was just passed into law and signed by the governor, doesn't know any of this. And they're being told, stop optometrists from doing cataract surgery. That's what they were saying to get their signatures. That's a lie. That's not at all what the bill allowed. And some of those signature gatherers, if you talk to them long enough, they would start to think that they have been lied to. By the way, telephone number 87. And also, so I was at the DMV and I met one of these signature gatherers, and there's, sir, you a registered voter, sir? I'm like, oh yeah, I knew exactly what was going on. I was like, okay, this is gonna be fun. And the signature gatherer, had gotten a victim, and this guy was signing it, and signature gatherer said, you got to stop optometrists from doing eye surgery. And I'm like, why would I want to do that? The bill was just like, well, this is just to let the people decide. I'm like, sir, you have no idea what you're talking about. I actually kind of, full confession, I felt bad afterwards. I came at the guy pretty hard. But then the guy who was signing the notepad recognized me, the victim. He was like, are you Paul Harrell? I'm like, yeah, I'm Paul Harrell. I'm like, do not sign this. And then the petitioner said, he was like, are you a member of the media? And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm a talk radio host. I was in the committee when this bill that you're trying to, I was there when this happened. And he was like, oh, well, if you're a member of the media, you can't sign the petition then. And I'm like, first of all, no, that's not true. Pretty sure members of the media can sign petitions because we can vote. What kind of people do you have gathering signatures here? It's ridiculous.
You're not gonna sign it anyways.
And I'm not going to sign it. Yeah, and I'm not going to sign your petition anyways. Yeah. Anyway, it was. I was pretty upset. I had to walk away, honestly. And normally in public, listen. Most of the time, the things I say behind this microphone are where it stops. Like it's over for me. Once I say it, I feel good about it. It is what it is. And when I'm like out in public, I'm just trying to buy steak at the grocery store. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to cook stuff. I'm just trying to barbecue. I'm thinking about is the post oak, is it going to season in 6 months time so I can cook a good brisket. That's most of the thing. That's what I'm thinking about when I'm not working. But boy, I came out of the DMV, and that's probably what did it also. I'm at the DMV, okay? I've got my driver's license. I've got it renewed. Yeah, exactly, And the DMV, by the way, is a disaster now. That's a whole nother topic of conversation. The DMV used to have kiosks, at least the one that I go to in Jonesboro. It had these kiosks. You'd go in, they were electronic. It was easy. I mean, it was easy to do. They've taken the kiosks down. And now, if you're trying to get driver's license renewed, I mean, it's just we wait. Seems like you wait forever now. I don't know what's going on, but you can actually go back. I know I have said this on air. I have complimented the DMV on the air at least like a year or two ago. I know I did because I walked in, I was like, wow, renewing tax was a breeze. It was so easy. You walk in. Why would you remove those kiosks? I don't know. I don't know if it's budget cuts. I have no idea. But certainly has gotten less efficient. I have noticed a marked difference from last year to now of the inefficiencies at the DMV. I want to talk more about this deception with ophthalmologists here in just a moment.
The news and talk of Northeast Arkansas. This is News Talk 101.3 FM and 12:30 AM KBTM, Jonesboro, an EAB radio station.
It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Hi, folks. Paul Harrell here. For those that can't catch Conduit News Radio with me on the radio every morning from 6 a.m. to 8, don't panic. You can always listen anytime on our digital platforms using your smartphone or computer. In this video, I'm here to help you navigate to the many options you have to watch or listen to the show across our digital platforms. First, you can catch the show on Facebook. Just use your internet browser and type in facebook.com/Conduit News. From there, select Videos on the left side of your screen. From there, you can watch the full 2-hour show each day or select specific interviews you want to watch. Another place you can watch the show is on YouTube. Just use your internet browser and type in youtube.com. Then, in the search bar, search for Conduit News. Select the Conduit News page as it appears. While here, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell to receive notifications when new videos are ready. From YouTube, you can also watch every live show daily and all the interviews I have with guests. More options are available at our website, conduitnews.com. Select the Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell tab. Here, you can watch each day's show live or watch old episodes and interviews. You can also catch audio-only versions of the show right here on this page of the website. For audio-only versions of the show, you have some options. For Apple iPhone users, simply use the podcast app and search Conduit News. Subscribe to the podcast and get each hour of the show automatically in your app daily. You can also download the SoundCloud app from your app store and search Conduit News to find your station. And that goes for Android users as well. Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell is the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. We want to make sure you get the latest on Arkansas news and politics. You have many options to know what government is doing in your name and with your tax dollars. Learn more at conduitnews.com.
The problem is when you raise wages like that and the workers aren't really doing anything more for it, when wages end up going up that much, it ends up reducing the number of jobs available. Now, some economists will say that's not true, but if you look at reality, I think you'll agree it is true. $15 an hour turns out to be about $31,000 a year, plus with the Social Security that the company has to pay and some other costs, turns out to be about $35,000 a year to hire somebody who has absolutely no skills. A minimum wage worker is somebody who doesn't really know how to do anything. They don't have any skills. Yeah. So how many jobs will be available for people with no skills that the employer has to pay $35,000 a year to?
I think that's why, with the fast food situation, exactly. the skill there is to hand a bag of food out of a window. And that's not a specialized skill. That's something we can all do. And that's why these fast food restaurants are going to start putting they already are. They're putting automation in their stores.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the company, the fast food chain says, look, I've got 5 people in the front here. 3 of them take orders and 2 of them handle payment. Well, as long as I'm paying them $7, $8, $9 an hour, it makes sense for me to do that. There is an alternative. Economists would say you're going to replace labor with capital. So I could bring in some of those automated machines. So they're touch screens to take the order and a credit card at the touchscreen to make a payment. Well, that's fairly expensive, and I haven't done it so far. However, if I have to pay these 5 people I have instead of the $15,000, $16,000, $18,000 a year I pay them, if I now have to pay them over $30,000 a year, and I've got 5 of them there, it simply isn't going to be profitable for me. And now it's cheaper to get the touch screens in there and take the place of labor. So automation is happening, artificial intelligence is happening, but the faster you push up the minimum wage,
I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers.
They seem to be in full-scale retreat from spending cuts and are talking about raising people's taxes again. And I have only one thing to say to the tax increasers. Go ahead, make my day.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell is on now.
All right, welcome. Welcome to the program, hour number 2. We have this is fascinating. Hey, you know, not Boris Yeltsin, Boris Johnson. They're going to be the new Prime Minister of England. A lot of people worried about that. Well, Donald Trump doesn't seem to be worried about it. He seems to welcome this. Will Boris actually allow Brexit to happen? I don't know. I definitely think that's what should happen at this point, right? Is Brexit. Boris Johnson, back in 2015, had some terrible things to say about President Trump. And I was just telling Joe, I was like, but that doesn't matter because he's English. English people have a talent of, saying long sentences of insults at people. And it's like the next day, it didn't really matter what they said because they took such a long time to say it. They're kind of like ints. No, what I mean by that is it's kind of like in Boston, or let's say just New England in general. Up in New England, they use the F word like it's, The what? Yeah, like it's like saying hello. Yeah, it's like a term of endearment. You use the F word on somebody down here, and you're going to be fighting in the streets. So there are some cultural differences, is all I'm trying to say. So for people to, because I saw this yesterday, this clip of Boris Johnson, trashing President Trump back in 2016 or something like that. It was like, that doesn't mean anything. Because that's just how that's just how, from what I can tell, that's just one of the cultural distinctions of Great Britain. And I'm sure the president knows that much more than I do. Real quick, I talked about this too much already, but I said I would get into it even more. This headline here, Michael Wickline, this morning, Arkansas Democrat Gazette, headline, eye surgery law petitions are handed in. Eye surgery. Surgery. Ooh. No, it's like minor surgical procedures. But anyway, it was a bill that I followed. Actually, it was one of the bills that Conduit for Action scored and Conduit for Commerce put in the scorecard. It's a bill about more freedom. And that's what we, to me, that's what we, we can get into the specifics. This article does not mention the fact that Oklahoma has been doing these same procedures for 20 years. Oklahoma optometrist. I actually said that to the canvasser, the signature gatherer, and you know what his response to me was? Well, this is Arkansas. It's saying Oklahoma. Oh, I'm like, oh, really, genius. Okay, really? This is Arkansas? Oh, it must be the wild, wild west out there in Oklahoma. Yep. Guns on your hip, and they're letting optometrists actually practice to their full scope of training. Woo! Anyway, it's seriously frustrating that the medical society and the ophthalmologists are trying to undo a law that was just passed by the General Assembly. It was debated by the people that we vote for to represent us. It is a complex issue. It's not as easy as just some canvassers saying, hey, sir, you a registered voter? Are you a registered voter? You want to stop? You want to stop optometrists from doing cataract surgery and laser eye surgery? And that's what they were saying to people. And, it's frustrating. It's extremely frustrating. Now, full disclosure, my father is an optometrist. So, yeah, now you got to take everything I say with a grain of salt. But here, let me just tell you a story. When the ophthalmologist lost, when the ophthalmologist lost back in the 92nd General Assembly, and the Senate passed the bill, the House passed the bill, and this is just to deregulate, and it's allowing optometrists to do what they're already trained to do and what they've been doing in Oklahoma for 20 years. When they lost, the ophthalmologists were so mad, They were so mad that they decided to file a bill, I don't think it went anywhere, to allow opticians to dispense contact lenses. So right now, ophthalmologists can dispense contact lenses, optometrists can, and they did it just for spite. Out of spite, they said, okay, fine, you're going to be able to do surgery? Well, we ophthalmologists here, medical school grads, we are going to then try to take some of your business away. We are going to say, opticians, you know what? They can now dispense contact lenses. What do you think of that? And you know what I said? I said, that's fantastic. If we get these two people even madder at each other, we might actually have, out of spite, they might deregulate us into a utopia. Because why shouldn't opticians be able to dispense contact lenses? I don't have a problem with that, because the principle of the matter is no one would force a patient to go to an optometrist to do X, Y, Z. It's just now an option. And so for all of these people out there who think that they are somehow protecting someone when we're just talking about somebody having the option and the choice, don't lay your heads down at night on your pillow and think that you're doing a good thing, because what you're really doing is wanting to take someone's choice away. That's what this is about. You want to take someone's choice away. And you've got, Oklahoma's been doing this, allowing their optometrists to do this for 20 years. And Arkansas is one of the most licensed states in the entire nation. We got more licensing boards and regulations than the state of New York. Think about that for a moment. Okay? So, and this was one tiny thing. One small reform. And the medical society and the ophthalmologists lost. And what do? They're saying it must be a big deal to them. I mean, in terms of, maybe they are going to lose a lot of money. I don't know. I really don't. But they're now going to the people. They've collected the signatures. Now they're going to be certified. Interestingly enough, though, Vicky Farmer, who is the chairman of the Arkansans for Healthy Eyes Committee, who supports the law, said that some of these signatures may have been fraudulently obtained. Okay? And so apparently now you have to have an affidavit. If you're a signature gatherer, if you're a canvasser, you get paid by the signature. But you have to submit some sort of affidavit to the Secretary of State's office saying that you're not a felon. Is that right? Is that something to do with the law? If you're a canvasser, you do. Before you can collect the signatures. Hang on one second. I'm trying to find where this is in the article. Arkansans were extremely receptive. Let's see. Here we go. Farmer said, it's our understanding that many of the signatures turned into the Secretary of State today by the special interest group working to undo Act 579 may have been collected unlawfully and should not be counted as valid for any purpose. Arkansas law now requires that before any paid canvasser may begin collecting signatures from voters, the sponsor of a measure must submit to the Secretary of State a sworn statement from each canvasser, verifying the canvasser has never been convicted of a felony or crime involving fraud, forgery, identity theft, or other election law violations. Well, that seems like a reasonable law. And so then it goes to Secretary of State John Thurston. Thurston spokesman, according to Michael Wickline, Arkansas Democrat Gazette, Thurston spokesman Chris Powell said in a written statement that, quote, we have 30 days to verify signatures of registered voters and estimate 3 to 4 weeks to do that. I'm told there is a cure period per Article 5 of the Constitution and works the same. Hang on one second. I got to back up because here it is. Okay, the Republican Secretary of State John Thurston said Thursday afternoon in text messages to the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, quote, he has decided to follow the plain language of the statute and will not count any signatures solicited by paid canvassers that were solicited prior to the filing of the canvasser's affidavit required by law. Meaning, if they didn't give me the affidavit before you paid this guy to go out and collect signatures, we're not going to count those signatures. So, everybody put your lawsuit shoes on. We're going to court. Telephone number 870-275-9799. If you want to contribute to the conversation, we would encourage you to do that. Coming up at the bottom of this next hour, we're going to be listening to a montage mashup of the impression of the session on taxes. Do your taxes go up? Did your taxes go down? Do they stay the same? Well, let's just listen to the lawmakers in their own words as they came on Conduit News day after day after day in the wake of the 92nd General Assembly, and we'll listen to what they had to say about it. What do you think? So in what has been described as a nutty situation, in Canada, there is a transgender man who identifies as a woman named Jessica. Jessica wants women to give him a bikini wax, Brazilian waxes. The only problem is he has male parts. Because he has male parts, the women, believe it or not, don't want to touch his male parts. Headline here, trans activist forcing women to wax male genitals hangs up mid-interview when pressed by host. So scroll down here, Joe. I want people who are watching on YouTube and Facebook to see this. This is who Jessica is. Everyone, look at Jessica. Everyone, that is Jessica. Woo! Is Jessica in a scooter? Is that now? Okay, she's mobile. What's it called? A mobile chair. Okay, so Jessica Yaniv, again, trans. I laugh, but you know this garbage is coming to America. I mean, if it's in Canada, this is what's. I mean, first it was, hey, cake bake. For all of you people out there that don't believe in slippery slopes, like, well, first they came for the cake bakers, then they came from the florist, and then they came from the bikini waxers, and they want to conscript them. No, you want to have a business? Then you have to touch male genitalia. You only do women bikini waxes? Hey, you have no idea how you would possibly wax male genitals? Too bad. You're violating his human rights by not allowing. He's a woman. I'm sorry, she's a woman. His name is Jessica. So, hang on. I gotta psych the interview first. You gotta hear this because there's a radio host here who does a fantastic job. He's over in the UK. First of all, 16 complaints. He has filed a total of 16 complaints with the British Columbia Human Rights Tribunal against female estheticians who do not wish to wash Yanif's male genitalia. Yanif claimed the women were discriminating based on his gender identity and is seeking financial restitution. He thinks his human rights were violated. So yesterday, he joined Irish broadcaster Niall Boylan. This is Niall Boylan from the Niall Boylan Show with transgender woman Jessica Yaniv. Listen.
If, let's say, for example, I don't want to accept you as a woman, and I say, listen, Jessica, I don't believe you're a woman, I believe you're a man dressed as a woman. And I say that. I don't believe that you have the right to tell me to listen to you, to believe you. I don't believe. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. I don't believe in God. Do you believe in God?
I'm sorry?
Do you believe in God?
I do.
Okay, I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist, okay? Now, you believe in God. I respect the fact that you believe in God, right? And I respect your point of view, and I respect your belief in God and your faith in God. That doesn't mean I have to believe in God. Do you understand the point? So some people may not, they may respect you, And they may respect that you want to be called Jessica, but they may not believe. They just don't believe it. They say, that's fine, he wants to be called Jessica, that's fine, I'll call him Jessica, I'll respect that, but I don't believe it, and I don't buy into it. So what you're essentially asking these women to do is, you're asking them to do a service on you that they don't believe in. They don't want to handle a man's genitalia. And is that fair?
Yeah. Not really, because, you see, I'm protected under the BC Human Rights Code because I'm a protected class, that being female.
Are those women not protected? Are those women not protected who have a right to say no?
They don't, because essentially what happens.
So why does your rights trump theirs?
That's exactly the thing. That's why the tribunal member is coming to a balancing act to see how rights play out in this whole thing.
I mean,
to see which rights.
That's the concern I have. I mean, look, I've no problem. You do what you want to do, Jessica, and you live your life whatever way you want to live your life. But the concern I have is that those women should also be allowed to live their lives the way they want to live their lives.
But not when they discriminate against the rights of others.
But they'll argue that they're not discriminating. They're just saying, I'm sorry, we don't supply a service of a bikini wax or a Brazilian or whatever it happens to be, or the removal of hair from a genitalia from a man, as far as they're concerned, because it's male genitalia. And that's what they're saying. They're saying, well, we shouldn't be forced to do that. Well, have we lost his line there?
All right,
Hello?
so hang
you
on.
there?
All right.
We'll try and get him back in a second.
Niall
Seems to have lost him.
Niall Boylan from the Niall Boylan Show. Niall makes some great points, doesn't he? It's like talking to someone who is intellectually challenged. I mean, it really is. It's like talking to a brick wall. All he says is, well, according to the BC, British Columbia human rights, my rights have been violated. What kind of, somebody who wants to force someone else to touch your body is a bad person. Like, you want to force someone else. That's what we're talking about here. Labels aside, transgender, whether he's a she or whatever, Jessica Yaniv wants to force other people to touch her or him. That's what this is about. I mean, we're just taking this stuff way too far. I mean, to say that there's not a slippery slope. Everybody back in the day that was like, and I know there are gay people out there that don't agree with a lot of this, how far it's gone. They were just wanting to be gay. There was a there certainly was in the beginning, I think, just a live and let live idea behind all of this. Not anymore. All those people, though, that said it was a slippery slope were right. All those people that were derided and made fun of, they were called prudes. All those people that were fighting to get, marriage protection acts on state ballots, that were made fun of by people on the left, by people like me when I was in college. Like, you were all right. Slippery slope is 100% a thing. 100% a thing. It's like, well, if we condone this as a society, if we condone gay marriage as a society, then it's going to get worse. There's going to be something else next. I don't think anyone ever imagined that, same-sex couples would lead to not knowing if you're a man or a woman or not, or wanting to be the other one and demand to use bathrooms and demand to have your genitals waxed. I mean, it is, but this is where we are now. You had that other guy who wants to self-identify. Remember that guy? He's like 60 years old, but he's got the body of a 40-year-old, and he sued one of the social media companies, it's a dating app, because he wants to identify as a 40-year-old, but he's really a 60-year-old, but he's claiming I identify as a 40-year-old now. You cannot define your own reality. You can't. I'm sorry. You can't. You can try. You can live in a fantasy world, but it doesn't change. It doesn't change reality. We're going to take a break. Going to reset here. Don't go anywhere. Tell me what you think. Sound off. Facebook.com/Conduit News. Back in a moment.
It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Hi, folks. Paul Harrell here. For those that can't catch Conduit News Radio with me on the radio every morning from 6 a.m. to 8, don't panic. You can always listen anytime on our digital platforms using your smartphone or computer. In this video, I'm here to help you navigate to the many options you have to watch or listen to the show across our digital platforms. First, you can catch the show on Facebook. Just use your internet browser and type in facebook.com/Conduit News. From there, select Videos on the left side of your screen. From there, you can watch the full 2-hour show each day or select specific interviews you want to watch. Another place you can watch the show is on YouTube. Just use your internet browser and type in youtube.com. Then, in the search bar, search for Conduit News. Select the Conduit News page as it appears. While here, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell to receive notifications when new videos are ready. From YouTube, you can also watch every live show daily and all the interviews I have with guests. More options are available at our website, conduitnews.com. Select the Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell tab. Here, you can watch each day's show live or watch old episodes and interviews. You can also catch audio-only versions of the show right here on this page of the website. For audio-only versions of the show, you have some options. For Apple iPhone users, simply use the podcast app and search Conduit News. Subscribe to the podcast and get each hour of the show automatically in your app daily. You can also download the SoundCloud app from your app store and search Conduit News to find your station. And that goes for Android users as well. Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell is the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. We want to make sure you get the latest on Arkansas news and politics. You have many options to know what government is doing in your name and with your tax dollars. Learn more at conduitnews.com.
The more likely you are to get automation coming in, and you'll see a severe reduction in the number of jobs available. Yeah. Look, the unemployment rate is down under 4%, but if you look at the unemployment rate for teenagers, which has historically been in the 18-20%, it still is at 13%. Part of the reason for that is you set a wage above what the market would pay somebody, and when that happens, you end up with unemployment.
Also, can you address the fact that some of these people on the left that want this higher minimum wage, most of them, their philosophy is also just a bigger government in general, and they're going to get more tax dollars when they artificially increase the minimum wage. Then they're going to get higher tax revenues to government.
Exposing the truth and everything the Marble Palace establishment keep trying to cover up. It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
FBI Director, Bloomberg.com, FBI Director Christopher Wray told senators that China is engaging in a sweeping effort to steal its way to economic dominance. More than 1,000 investigations underway right now. More than 1,000 on intellectual property theft, almost all of them leading back to China. Quote, there is no country that poses a more severe counterintelligence threat to this country right now than China. China is trying to steal their way up the economic ladder. It's a threat that's deep and diverse and wide and vexing. It affects basically every industry in the country. China has rebuffed U.S. complaints on intellectual property. Chinese Foreign Minister spokesman Hu Chunying on Wednesday dismissed Wray's comments as baseless. Quote, we do not steal, rob, or lie. He said some major universities have essentially created a pipeline of intellectual property heading back to China, Christopher Wray said. It doesn't mean we shouldn't do business with the Chinese, Wray said, but that business leaders, universities, and others need to be clear-eyed about the risks. Wray also warned senators about Russia, saying it's probably the second biggest counterintelligence threat. I would say, why are we doing business with the communist Chinese, knowing about all this and considering the trade war? Back in a minute.
It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Hi, folks. Paul Harrell here. For those that can't catch Conduit News Radio with me on the radio every morning from 6 a.m. to 8, don't panic. You can always listen anytime on our digital platforms using your smartphone or computer. In this video, I'm here to help you navigate to the many options you have to watch or listen to the show across our digital platforms. First, you can catch the show on Facebook. Just use your internet browser and type in facebook.com/Conduit News. From there, select Videos on the left side of your screen. From there, you can watch the full 2-hour show each day or select specific interviews you want to watch. Another place you can watch the show is on YouTube. Just use your internet browser and type in youtube.com. Then, in the search bar, search for Conduit News. Select the Conduit News page as it appears. While here, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell to receive notifications when new videos are ready. From YouTube, you can also watch every live show daily and all the interviews I have with guests. More options are available at our website, conduitnews.com. Select the Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell tab. Here, you can watch each day's show live or watch old episodes and interviews. You can also catch audio-only versions of the show right here on this page of the website. For audio-only versions of the show, you have some options. For Apple iPhone users, simply use the podcast app and search Conduit News. Subscribe to the podcast and get each hour of the show automatically in your app daily. You can also download the SoundCloud app from your app store and search Conduit News to find your station. And that goes for Android users as well. Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell is the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. We want to make sure you get the latest on Arkansas news and politics. You have many options to know what government is doing in your name and with your tax dollars. Learn more at conduitnews.com.
Yeah, if you look at the big picture here, the U.S. went from being a new country to the number one economy in the world, the largest, most prosperous economy in the world in about 150 years. Other countries were hundreds, in some cases thousands of years older. Well, how did that happen? I believe the reason was 4 things. One, our system encouraged individual freedom. You were free to pursue what you wanted to do. Secondly, we encouraged individual responsibility.
The intersection of conservative ideas and reality. Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
All right, folks, hey, welcome back to the program. Thank you so much for being with us. We did all of these interviews, impressions of the session, legislator after legislator after legislator. Now I just want you to hear what they all have to say on this one question. Did your taxes go up? Did they go down? Did they stay the same? Listen to this. Senator Scott Flippo from District 17, you think the people are going to be paying more to the government than they were?
I think there's a chance they will, Paul. And I'll tell you why. A big part of that is obviously the e-fairness, the internet tax. And nobody can tell me definitively what that collection's going to be. So we had a corporate income tax, measure built into that bill, which is, obviously politics. Hard to vote against an income tax cut.
Representative Stephen Meeks, do you think the people, when it's all said and done, are going to be paying more in taxes to the government, meaning a net tax increase after this session? Because the way I look at DFNA's numbers, that appears to be the case, Stephen.
I can't argue with you. I think that's the case. We did the one large tax cut, obviously, and but yeah, I think overall you're correct. Yes, the amount of money that the average Arkansan is going to be paying because of the 92nd General Assembly will go up versus down. Yep.
Senator Terry Rice is back with us.
I carried the bill passed Senate Bill 336, additional revenue for maintenance and repair of highway, streets, and bridges, $95 million. It is a percentage increase in the wholesale gas increase. We broke the ceiling in that. Some people don't talk about it. If you think about the ceiling, it does now have general funds in that bill.
On that, do you think, some of these revenue increases from the people to the government, you think that's because of, we were supposed to only be paying $50 million in, to Arkansas Works, and it ended up costing us $138 this year. So
no doubt, Paul.
No doubt.
You and I and people that are attending to it know that. That's what's driving the whole thing.
State Representative Spencer Hawks, do you think the amount of money that people are giving to the government is going to increase?
As far as what I think Arkansans are going to walk away with, long term, I think they will see more money in their pockets. Short term, I think it's kind of a net neutral situation.
State Representative Dwight Tosh.
In the next couple of fiscal years, the people of Arkansas are going to be paying more money to the government, not less?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. And I think a lot of it, Paul, I think a lot of it depends. I think it depends on each individual. How much do you drive an automobile? How much will you pay more in fuel tax?
Overall, tax burden on the people in terms of, is the government going to be getting more money because of changes in the tax policy?
I think probably overall for, I'd have to say probably, obviously your answer would like to be less, but I think there's a strong possibility it could be a little more.
State Senator Gary Stubblefield, do you think at the end of the day, especially in the next couple fiscal years, the people are going to be paying more money to the government than they were, or less money?
I think until all these kick in, that in the short term, we're going to be paying more. I don't think there's any question about that until these tax cuts actually kick in.
We've got State Representative Grant Hodges is with us. He represents District 96.
Unfortunately, I think this is probably my least favorite one. I was a little bit disappointed with this session overall, and the reason being, when I kind of looked back and thought, what were some of the big conservative wins of the session? I didn't see a lot there. We didn't get anything meaningful done really on school choice, and I'm on the education committee, so that's something I've watched 3 sessions in a row be defeated. I didn't see anything on tort reform, really nothing significant on Medicaid reform, nothing on ethics reform, which was really disappointing.
So you think when it's all said and done, the people of Arkansas are going to be paying more money to the government than they were before the 92nd General Assembly?
Yes, I do. And I would be interested to have someone give me the opposite case. But from my perspective, it definitely seems like taxes at the end of the day will be going up, certainly because, as you talked about already, a lot of these tax increases take effect soon this year, and a lot of our tax cuts take effect in the future. Hopefully they'll take effect in the future. But, when you look at it with the highway tax vote, the highway taxes we just implemented, the online sales tax, the tobacco tax, and what we did with the cell phone fees. At the end of the day, I just don't see how, even with the income taxes that we've passed the last 3 sessions, I'm afraid that your average Arkansan is going to be paying more, and I'm worried that they're going to be really disappointed and feel disenfranchised, disencouraged, because the messaging is, we have this Republican supermajority, taxes are being cut, but at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are going to be looking at their bank accounts at the end of the year and wondering why they're not seeing it.
State Representative Jack Ladyman is with us. I'm wondering what you think at the end of the day, are the people, especially in the first couple fiscal years, the people are going to be paying more money to the government than they were before the session. Do you agree with that?
That's possible, Paul. I don't know. I am kind of a numbers person, but I haven't really looked at that. And I understand that idea or that thought.
Yeah.
And that may be true. I'm not sure.
State Representative Jim Dotson.
Often easy to focus on the turds, and this year there were some big stinky ones, especially in the area of taxation. From my viewpoint, there are two ways to spell tax, T-A-X and F-E-E. Sadly, both of them have the same effect, taking the hard-earned money out of the pockets of Arkansans and putting it under the control of the government. Although I've not added up all the new taxes and fees versus reductions, if you include the half-cent sales tax, if that gets extended, or not extended but made permanent, I would suspect that probably more money will be coming out of the pockets of Arkansans after the 92nd General Assembly than before, which is highly disappointing, especially since the 92nd General Assembly actually enacted some of the best tax policy overall in state history.
Folks, welcome back to the program. We've got State Representative Joe Cloud is back with us, and I've got internet sales tax that these are DFNA's numbers projected to raise $43 million from the people. Then you look at the cigarette paper tax increase, that's $720,000. Gas tax increase, $57,000. And part of the reason is these taxes, the internet tax starts to be collected in July. The gas tax begins to be collected in October. The tax cuts don't fully go into effect. At the end of the day, after you guys meet, are we paying the same amount to the government? Are we going to pay more? Or are we going to pay less?
That bottom line.
Yes, sir.
Well, I totally agree, and that's what's important, right? It's the bottom line. That's what people have to pay. And once again, I don't guess I'm smart enough to know all these projections. I just know what we're told on the projections. And again, you do have a legitimate point that it's not happening right now, but over the next couple of years.
And State Representative Jimmy Gazaway joins us. You think the people will be paying more money to the government, when it's all said and done than before?
Yeah, that's a real concern of mine. I mean, I can't say that for certain. Again, that's part of why I say I think we'll have to wait and see. But I think that's certainly a possibility, at least for some folks, depending on where you fall in the spectrum.
Representative John Payton, you're one of 12 Republicans that voted no on all three of those bills. So how did you stand up to the establishment's argument saying we've got to have more money from the people?
Well, again, I've been there for 6 years, and revenue has continued to increase over that time. I had the figures in my head and could quote them readily during the session, but I think it was over $800 million worth of revenue growth since I've been in there. And my argument is we do need the funding for roads and bridges for highway program, but it's been there, and we could have done it just purely through growth. And Jonathan Barnett introduced a bill, and I'm trying to think who reintroduced one, Julie Mayberry, this go-around, that would have just taken some growth in sales tax revenue, even limited to automobiles and car parts and things, and devoted that to roads and bridges. And if we had done that 6 years ago, that problem would be cured now. If we had done it in this session, it'd be cured in a very short period of time going forward.
Do you think the people of Arkansas are paying more money to the government after the 92nd General Assembly than before?
Absolutely. I think it's been proven in the numbers that we got for this month, a record month in revenue. And most of those laws and bills have not even taken place. But what seems to happen over and over again is when we project down the road how much a tax cut is going to reduce revenue, it seems to get over-projected. And when we project down the road 8 or 10 years how much a tax increase or a revenue increase of some kind, how much it's going to bring in, that seems to get underestimated.
Yes.
And so, I'm very leery when they say that they're going to bring a balanced bill, that is revenue neutral, because that's based on projections 8 or 10 years down the road, and they made the math come out as revenue neutral. But I'm very suspicious most of the time as to whether or not it's going to play out that way. I had a bill that would have given some sales tax relief on cheaper used cars and raised the exemption from $4,000 to $7,500. When you buy a car under $7,500, it would have been exempt from sales tax. It had a revenue impact of a little over $12 million. And so they were asking me, how are you going to pay for it? They're in this mindset, that you have to pay for a tax cut. And I went to BLR jokingly and said, how do I draft an appropriation bill to pay for a tax cut? I mean, it's that absurd.
Yeah.
But anyway, I kept telling them over and over again, revenue growth will easily cover this $12 million hit to the budget.
Welcome back to the program. We've got Senator Kim Hammer. Do you think the people of Arkansas in the next fiscal year are going to end up paying more money as a net tax increase to the government?
Well, we keep there's actually a running chart on that. I'm going to be up to Capitol this week and going to get the updated version of it. I'll be glad to share it with you. I think if all the taxes that were successful this time around get out there and you apply the tax credits, I think it's going to end up, and I'm looking at the 100,000 foot level as far as how it affects each individual class or taxpayer. There probably will be winners and losers. But when you look at the overall money out, I think you're going to see that the increases were there. More taxes being collected than being returned.
State Representative Josh Miller, what was your impression of the session 2019?
Well, I thought there was some of it that was good, and some of it that sucked. And if you're a taxpayer in Arkansas, you probably, weren't that happy. If you're a freeloader in the state of Arkansas, you came out okay.
It looks like the people of Arkansas are going to be paying more money to the government.
't That's what I'm saying. I mean, we did cut some taxes, but had the income tax reduction, and that was a good thing. But then, we're raising the gas taxes and all the other little ways that you get nickeled and dimed. That's not good. We are going to be paying more into the government. When the projection numbers were released here not too long ago, we were in, let's say, council when that happened or when we heard it. We realized that we were going to be getting enough extra revenue just from a better economy.
Wow.
That we could have pretty much taken care of the highway problem without raising taxes one bit. But that's not what we did.
Senator Mark Johnson, when it's all said and done, fiscal year 2020, fiscal year 2021, do you think the people of Arkansas will be paying more to the government than before you guys had your recent session?
Well, Paul, let me answer it this way. I think in the short run, we're going to see some things that we're paying more to the government, but I think in the long run, we're going to start seeing some things kick in, including the 5.9%, where we're paying less to the government. Now, part of that is going to be because simply the economy is doing well, and we have some triggers that can allow things to other revenue sources to start to phase out. Of course, the grocery tax is pretty well gone. I'd like to see it completely gone, and to all my friends that like the 1/8 cent conservation tax, I don't think that was good policy in the first place to put that in the Constitution. Even though good things are done with it, I think that we should take that off the groceries too. I don't think there should be any tax on groceries at all, and we should implement that as soon as we can. Bottom line to your question, I think that we're in the middle of something, and I think it's something that the rest of the General Assembly needs to step up to. Yes, we've done the things on the tax side, and I hope in 2021 we start doing some things on the spending side.
State Representative Mark Lowry is with us. Looks like when it's all said and done, it's a net tax increase. What do you think?
Well, I'd say that that's probably true, especially if you look at the taxes that would most affect lower income, lower middle income constituents.
gave them a tax cut, but then turned around and with the motor fuel tax, it probably more disproportionately affects the lower class. So, with one hand we gave, and then with the other hand we took away. So that's probably one of those areas where I don't know if it's necessarily a net increase to that particular part of the constituency, but it's something that I think the lower income folks, lower middle class, everyone's going to feel the sting of the motor fuel tax.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, and I hear legislators all the time talking about where they voted their constituency, what their constituency was telling them. I've never specifically done that. There's not been a lot of issues where I felt like my constituency in Maumelle felt a certain way that was maybe cutting across the tie. But this time, we're building a interchange in Maumelle for a third entrance. And the city of Maumelle, the constituents of Maumelle, ended up having to vote themselves a half-cent tax increase to pay for that because the Department of Transportation really provided them very little money. So I felt like voting for my constituency meant, listen, we've already put a tax burden on ourselves locally to pay for the major road work that we're going to need. I don't think it's right to also put on top of that an increase in the motor fuel tax.
You would agree with me on this. We won't see it until the present occupant that's in the governor's office has run his course as governor of the state.
Welcome, State Representative Aaron Pilkington. When it's all said and done, this is going to be a net tax increase on the people after the session as opposed to before the session?
Well, hopefully it's a net decrease, and I haven't seen the latest numbers from DFNA yet because, there's always the projection, and then there's the reality of what happened. And so that's kind of what I'm more interested to see is the reality of those numbers come in. I hope ultimately that larger tax that we gave them in the beginning of the session will show that ultimately there is a decrease in collections. Same with the reduction in the corporate taxes that was passed as well. But it's just one of those things we'll have to see.
State Representative Dan Sullivan, what was your impression of the session 2019?
Well, Paul, I was disappointed this year. We had several big issues up, and we'll talk about them here in a few minutes. But, we pass a lot, and we move through a lot of things. But the big issues that come up, and I think you're going to bring them up here in a second, our gas taxes, our highway bill, those kind of issues were the key issues. And all of them moved through rather quickly without much dissent or much opportunity to discuss other options. For example, the highway bills is a good one. Most people don't know there were 3 or 4 different bills out there that would have funded the highways equally. The governor's bill passed without much dissent. There were a few of us that held out for other bills, but you come out looking like you're against highway funding, when really there were at least three bills out there, 3 good ones out there, that would have funded the highways without a highway tax increase and the accompanying gas tax increase and the accompanying constitutional amendment to increase the tax.
Wow. The question has been, are people going to be paying more, less, or the same? Is the net tax burden, or is the tax burden going to be increased, lowered, or stay the same?
Well,
what do you think?
That'll be spun, or there'll be different spin on how that works. There'll be people that take this select group of bills and say, well, my package of bills actually reduces taxes over tax increases. But then when you combine all of the tax increases that we got with the tax cuts that we got, I think we're going to be paying more in the long run. We'll see.
President of the...
It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Hi, folks. Paul Harrell here. For those that can't catch Conduit News Radio with me on the radio every morning from 6 a.m. to 8, don't panic. You can always listen anytime on our digital platforms using your smartphone or computer. In this video, I'm here to help you navigate to the many options you have to watch or listen to the show across our digital platforms. First, you can catch the show on Facebook. Just use your internet browser and type in facebook.com/Conduit News. From there, select Videos on the left side of your screen. From there, you can watch the full 2-hour show each day or select specific interviews you want to watch. Another place you can watch the show is on YouTube. Just use your internet browser and type in youtube.com. Then, in the search bar, search for Conduit News. Select the Conduit News page as it appears. While here, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell to receive notifications when new videos are ready. From YouTube, you can also watch every live show daily and all the interviews I have with guests. More options are available at our website, conduitnews.com. Select the Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell tab. Here, you can watch each day's show live or watch old episodes and interviews. You can also catch audio-only versions of the show right here on this page of the website. For audio-only versions of the show, you have some options. For Apple iPhone users, simply use the podcast app and search Conduit News. Subscribe to the podcast and get each hour of the show automatically in your app daily. You can also download the SoundCloud app from your app store and search Conduit News to find your station. And that goes for Android users as well. Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell is the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. We want to make sure you get the latest on Arkansas news and politics. You have many options to know what government is doing in your name and with your tax dollars. Learn more at conduitnews.com.
People took care of themselves. Thirdly, we had low rates of taxation, so when you earned income, you got to keep most of it. That was plenty of incentive. And fourthly, we had a limited role for government. The government provided the services that they do, defense of the country, a legal system, et cetera, and really didn't get involved much in business. So individual freedom, individual responsibility, low rates of taxation, and a limited role for government made our economy go from zero to the largest in a short period of time. All of these social programs that the Democrats are putting forth, free college tuition, pay off your student loans, free health care for everybody, we're going to raise the minimum wage. All of those programs, which they believe are geared to cure perceived social injustices, are all opposite to those four principles. The government takes...
The president still refused to sit for an interview by you or your team.
Need your daily news fix? Don't forget to tune in to Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Possible episodes of obstruction of justice crimes involving him. Did he provide any answers to a single
That's Robert Mueller. I'm watching Robert Mueller right now. He sounds, he's doing the Democrats' bidding, but he sounds very unsure of himself, kind of bumbling all over himself. But right now being questioned by Jerry Nadler. Pretty fascinating stuff. A lot of people are going to be watching this. Robert Mueller testifying right now before the House Judiciary Committee. Here's your meme of the day. It looks like Antifa finally caught a fascist. Yeah, this courtesy of the Instagram handle owning_liberals. It's a picture of a wolf biting on his tail. Antifa member catches fascist. We'll post it up at the Conduit News Twitter feed. Right now, Doug Collins is addressing... Doug Collins, the ranking minority member, is questioning Robert Mueller right now.
Additional interviews or obtained any new information.
Fascinating.
In your role as special counsel.
He just doesn't sound good. Robert Mueller does not sound... so far, just from what I've heard, I'm not impressed with him at all. And just in terms of, he seems very weary, I guess. Folks, it's all the time we have for today. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to watch the rest of this hearing. I'm sure we'll have coverage of it tomorrow. Folks, thanks so much for being with us, and we will see you tomorrow. Arkansas, be safe.